Hi everyone, I'm Allie Buchman here with the Potomac Bead Company, and I'm going to be doing this pattern here, which we've called Castanets. And this pattern is by Honey Greene, who is a designer that you'll be seeing her designs coming up in the February 2016 Beadwork magazine, as well as the June 2016 Beadwork magazine. So keep an eye out for some of her fun designs. And I'm calling this the Castanets because it almost looks like these two-holed bars that we're using should kind of be clapping together. So it's a fun, quick, kind of make music sort of a bracelet. For this bracelet, we are going to be using the RounDuo beads and the two-holed bars to kind of highlight and pull the whole thing together. If you need any of these materials for Honey's design, you can check out the left-hand side here, which will have listed the different categories and links to those products. Also, if you need to, you can look down on the drop-down menu underneath the descriptions here, and that will give you links so you can go to your local Potomac Bead Company or to shop online if you do need these materials. Again, the Castanets bracelet is going to be featuring the RounDuo bead, and for the RounDuo bead, you're going to need about 14 to 16 of the RounDuos. If you're not familiar with the RounDuos, they are a 5mm two-holed round bead. And right now I am using the pastel white or the pastel pearl color. I have pearl addictions, so I'm using that pearl one. And again, about 14 to 16 of those. Those are going to be highlighted by the two-holed bars. And the two-holed bars, I'm using the pretty purple color in the Lila Vega Luster. And I'm also going to be using that same color in my cup button to close the whole thing off. For the two-holed bars, you're going to need about 20 to 24 bars depending on the size of your wrist. To highlight those beads, to add a little shimmer, I'm going with the Potomac Crystal rondelles. You can also do these with a 4mm bicone. That's what Honey used in her design that she sent to me. And I'm using the metallic purple, and it's a really pretty kind of mixed purple and gray color. I'm going to pull it all together with an 11 and a 15-0 seed bead. The 11 seed bead that I'm using is a check coating on a Miyuki seed bead, which is the black hematite color. And then I'm going to make it pop and a little bit brighter with my silver beads in that crystal Labrador color in the 15-0. I am going to be working with 2 needles. The nice thing with the 2 needles is that we'll be able to put our clasp on right away. This is an up project and we don't even have to come back down, so it's really nice. It'll be nice and quick. And these 2 needles that I'm using are size 10 pony needles. And I'm going to be using them with some .006 white wildfire beading thread. We're going to be using about 5 feet for our project. So we'll get ready to kind of dump little piles of everything out because we are using everything at once. And for Honey's design, we are going to, like I said, just be going up the project, and we don't even have to come back down, so we'll reinforce that clasp right away. I am working on a bead mat, and I have some super new glue handy as I get to the end of my project. And as always, I like to keep a flat or needle nose pliers handy so I can flatten out my thread as I put my needles on. You also want to keep handy a thread zap. And this is the Thread Zap 2, the Thread Zap Ultra, or the Beadalon Zap will work for you too. So any of those thread burners are nice to keep on hand. So again, we'll get some beading thread. We're going to get a needle on each end of 5 feet and lay out little pieces of all of our little piles of all of our pieces that are going to be involved in our Castanets bracelet. So to get started, I've laid out little piles of all of our beads, and I do have my 2 needles on one piece of 5 feet of beading thread. So 1 needle on each side. Because this is a 2-needle project, like I said, we get to put on our clasp right away. You can do the loop end or the button end first, that's up to you. If you do have a traditional metal clasp, you're going to want to use a wire protector as well. We're going to put this on first, and we're going to decorate the center of the cup button just a little bit. I'm going to use an 11-0, a 15-0, and an 11-0, and put those on my needle. I'm going to let those drop down on my thread, and then I'm going to put on my cup button. The cup button I'm going to put on with the button end or the bowl end facing down, and my needle's coming right out of the back of that button. Those 3 beads are just going to decorate the center of the cup button just a little bit to add some color from my project. When I'm coming out the back of my cup button, I'm going to add 3 of my 11/0s in that black hematite color on each needle. I'm going to let those fall down next to my button, and I'm going to add my first RounDuo bead. When I add my RounDuo beads, it's always going to be in a diagonal stitch, which some people call, or basically our needles are going to be passing through the same hole of the RounDuo, one going from right to left, and the other going from left to right. So again, the RounDuo has 2 holes. I'm just using the one. I'm going to pull that all down next to my cup button. When I do this first step, you want to make sure that your threads are still even on each side, that you don't have a lot of extra on one side short, one side's long. Make sure you're still in the middle of your thread. At this point, I'm going to go back and reinforce my clasp. Because I'm not doing a bracelet where I'm coming up and down the bracelet, stitching both ways, we're only going to be going one way. So I am coming and adding and reinforcing right away. My thread that's coming out on the right-hand side here is going to go back through my entire button and all of the beads leading up to it, as well as the beads on the inside of the button. And then it's going to come back down the other side and through those 3 seed beads. Once I have that reinforced there, that needle comes right back to the other side where it started. Next, I'm going to take the other side, so this is going to make it 3 times going through that cup button just to reinforce. I'm going to do the same thing with the other needle. The clasp is always where there's going to be a fair amount of tension, so you always want to make sure to have more than 1 thread. Ideally, I have about 3 threads going through, which is what we're doing right now. And you're just taking your thread the whole way around in a circle until you're back to the starting point. So right there we have 3 threads going through our cup button and all the beads leading up to it. When we're coming out of a RounDuo here, we get to start our pattern. On the sides of the RounDuos that are sitting on the sides of those little castanets there, we are going to be decorating them and doing a little picot trim of 115/0, 111, and 115. From there, we're going to go through the top hole of that RounDuo bead. So I've done that right there on the right side. Put down the right needle and do the same thing on the left. Get a 15/0, an 11, and a 15. When I go through the opposite direction, because remember each hole of the RounDuo is going to have thread going in the opposite direction, I'm going through that top hole of that RounDuo. I want to make sure not to catch on any of the beads that are there. I'm going to pull that nice and tight, and that just gives a little picot trim right on the sides of those RounDuo beads. Once I have that, we're going to get up and ready to go into our little castanet section, which uses those 2-hole bars. To do that and to get up to that point, I'm going to add 2 of my 11/0 on the right needle, and then 2 on the left as well. Push that all down next to my project, which wants to jump off my bead mat. And then we're getting ready to go in here for that little castanet section. The castanet starts with 2-hole bar separated with an 11/0. So on my right needle, I'm going to put on a 2-hole bar, that 11, and the 2-hole bar. Take that down a little bit on my beading needle, and then just like the RounDuos, my other needle on the left-hand side is going to go from the left to the right. So the thread is crossing between those as well. And there's your first little clapping section. When I'm on the sides of the 2-hole bar, I'm going to decorate it just like I did the RounDuo bead, but kind of opposite. So instead of using the 11 in the middle, I'm going to switch to the 15 in the middle. So I have an 11, a 15, and an 11. That goes then through the top hole of that 2-hole bar and out towards the middle of that section. On the other side, same thing. I'm going to do an 11, a 15, and 11 through the second hole of that bar towards the middle. When I pull then, you're going to see that that decorates the sides of the bar and then also gives you an opening right in the middle where those 2 threads are coming out. That's where we're going to decorate with that RounDuo in the middle. So the RounDuo, just like we did on the first one in the set, 1 needle goes through one way and 1 needle goes through the other way of that same first hole. And of course my threads want to tangle. So one's going from right to left and the other is going from left to right. When you pull down them, that RounDuo is going to nestle right in the middle of those 2-hole bars. Instead of decorating the sides of the RounDuos, we're going to keep it open and we're actually going to get to the outer edge of our bars. The needle that's on the right-hand side coming out of the RounDuo is going to go through that second hole of the bar right beside it and come on out. Again, making sure that you're not going through any of the seed beads. Left needle is going through the 2-hole bar, coming straight out the side. When we're out the side, we get to add a little bit of our bling here. And for that bling, we're going to add a 15-0, that crystal rondelle, and a 15. That goes on the right needle and the left needle. Generally, when you work with 2 needles, everything gets mirrored. So anything you do on one side, you do on the other side. Once I have those crystals on to decorate the sides, I'm going to add my next 2-hole bar in, which is going to create the top of that little castanets clapping. I'm going to add a 2-hole bar, so the bar goes on the right needle, and a bar goes on the left needle. Once I have the crystals and the bars on, once I have those crystals and those bars on, I'm going to crisscross through that top hole, so the second hole of the RounDuo bead. The needle that's on the right-hand side will go in from right and come out the left. The needle that's on the left-hand side will go in through the left and come out the right. At the same time, if you want to, you can also go out the end of the bar with that left needle. And then on the needle that is on the left, just come back and pick up and go through that bar. So then I have my needle out the sides of those 2-hole bars, and you can see that first little clapping section. Again, when I'm on the sides of the bars, I'm going to do the same thing that I did previously, 11, 15, 11. And then with the left, mirrored image, 11, 15, 11. Going through the second hole of the 2-hole bar, when I'm coming out the middle, I'm going to add my 11 right in the middle to mirror the first clap. Go through there and come out the other side. Now that that's in there with my needle that's on the right-hand side, my beads are on. I'm going to go through the 2-hole bar, through the 11 that I just put on, and through the 2-hole bar. And my needle is done now with my first little section. To go back to and to create the next section, we are going to add 2 of our 11s on each needle. And then we're going to crisscross through a RounDuo bead. To crisscross through the RounDuo, I'm picking up the RounDuo and going through the same hole. One needle is going from right to left, the other left to right, and crossing. Once I'm on the sides, I get to decorate it. And the decoration for this one, the little picot trim, is 11 or 15, 11, 15. And then from the right needle, or the right side towards the left, going through the second hole of that RounDuo. Same thing on the other side. 15, 11, 15. Through the second hole of that RounDuo, going from left to right, making sure not to pick up any of those seed beads. Give a nice tight pull. And then we're ready to go up to our next little castanet section. Again, to go up there, we're going to do 2 11s on the right, 2 11s on the left. Let those drop down. And we're going to put our first little castanet section on. That is a bar, 11, bar. I put those on the right needle. Let that fall down next to my project. With my left needle now, I'm going to go through those 3 beads towards the right-hand side. And that's getting the needle switch then. The one that was on the right is on the left, and left to right. That opens up that first little castanet section where I have that open and ready to go. On goes 11, 15, 11 through the bar's second hole towards the middle. And I have that. I'm going to do the same thing on my left needle. And then through the second hole of the bar on the left towards the middle. When my thread and needle are out the middle, that's when I get to add my RounDuo in that sits nestled. So the RounDuo gets put in, 1 needle from left to right, and 1 from right to left. Pull that thread down. Once you're through the RounDuo, we get to put the crystals on the outside. To get to the outside of the RounDuo, I'm taking my needle on the right through the second hole of the right bar and out. On the left, through the second hole of the left bar and out. Once I'm to the outer edge of the bars, I get to add my crystals. So it's 15 crystal, 15 on each needle. After I add those crystals, I need to add my next bar that's going to be going around at the top and pointing in the upward V. Bar on the left, bar on the right. I get to crisscross now through that next RounDuo hole. So the needle on the right, go into the left, left to the right. Once I'm through that RounDuo, I'm also going to go back through the bars towards the outer edge. So the needle that's on the right is going to go through that lower hole of the bar on the right. Needle on the left goes through the lower hole of the bar on the left. When I'm out the sides of the bar, I repeat that little picot trim, which is the 11, 15, 11, and go into the top hole of that bar. At the same time, I'm going to pick up one of my 11s to put in the middle and straight across to the other bar. Pick up my needle on the left and do my little picot trim of 11, 15, 11, straight across through the bar, the 11, and the bar coming out on the other side. And that's it. Now I just get to repeat that pattern over and over again, adding 2 seed beads on each needle to start and finish each pattern. So 2 get added on, and then I get to do my next open round duo and then my next little castanet section. So continue building the whole length of your bracelet. Again, depending on your wrist, you are going to need about 14 to 16 RounDuo beads and those 20 to 24 bars depending on how many sets you need to go. So I ended up with 13 of my RounDuos on and 24 of my bars. So just a little correction from earlier, not 20 to 24, it's going to be 24 to 28 bars. I obviously cannot do addition, but that's going to get you right here with those 24 bars and those 13 RounDuo beads. That gets me easily, by the time I do my loop, my 6 3/4 bracelet that I like to wear. If you want more like a 7 1/4 bracelet, that's when you're going to use those 28 bars and you're going to use about 15 RounDuos. When I'm at the end here, I'm getting ready to add my loop, which my loop for my cup button is going to consist of 28 of my 11/0 seed beads. If you want, you can also use your 15s, that's up to you. To get to our loop, I'm going to mimic the start of the button. However, generally when I do a loop, I like to do almost a Y and then go into the loop. It makes the loop end closed off a little bit more, which makes it less likely to come off. So to do that, I'm going to add 2 of my 11/0s on each needle. I'm then going to add 1 of my crystals, going through the same direction with my needles. So my needles are going the same direction, both from bottom to top, going through that crystal. What that's going to do is create a little Y right after my last RounDuo bead, and now I'm going to be able to make my loop off of that. It doesn't matter whether or not you grab your right needle or your left needle. One needle is going to get put to the side, and one needle we're going to pick up those 28 11s. So I'm going to use this opportunity to clean up my bead mat a little bit, grab approximately 28 of your 11s. If you have your other end of a toggle clasp or something of metal, you can put your wire protector and your clasp on right here. I still do like to create that V for the loop, even if I have a regular clasp that I'm adding. And I add those 28 beads, which is going to be a good size loop for your cup button. If you do have a crystal Rivoli in that 10.7 millimeter going inside the cup button, you want to do about 4 extra seed beads because it makes it a little bit wider. Once I have those beads on, I'm going to take the needle that's in my hand that the beads are currently on and go down that crystal towards my cup button. I'm going to pick up the needle now on the other side and go through all of those seed beads as well to reinforce that loop. Once I go through all of those seed beads, I'm going to go down through the crystal again. So right now, I have 2 pieces of thread going through my loop, and both threads are coming right out of the crystal. To continue, one of my threads, again it doesn't matter which one, right or left needle, is going to go through the 2 beads on one of the sides going down towards the clasp. Also go through a RounDuo bead from the right side to the left. Oops, trying not to pick up any of those other beads there. I'm going to go up the 2 beads that are right before the crystal, go through the crystal, and go through my clasp one more time. So that I'll put 3 threads through my clasp. Whenever I'm reinforcing the clasp, I always want to try to, as much as possible, not see thread at the end. So that's why we're circling around to that RounDuo. Once I'm done here and I'm through my clasp, I'm going to take the other needle now Go back through those 2 seed beads here on the side. At the same time, go through my RounDuo bead. Go up through those 2 11s. And then the 2 threads are going to be in the same place. Once the threads are in the same place, we're going to simply knot off the threads. So they're right after that crystal there, and that's going to conceal the thread pretty well for our knot. I'm going to tie 1 knot, and I do a square knot right over left or left over right. And I switch hands generally when I'm holding the thread in, and that's going to help with that as well. If you're someone that doesn't like to glue your thread ends, you want to take them back and separate them back, going down a couple spots, join them together and knot them off in a couple of different areas. I tend to glue my knots. So at this point here, I'm going to go in to my project, grab my super new glue, and just do a little bit of glue right on that knot there. I'll let that dry for a couple seconds, remove my needles from my project. You can see I had a fair amount of extra thread, so if you are making it longer, that 5 feet will be sufficient. I'm then going to take my cutters and cut off my extra thread. I'm going to do that fairly close to my project. But then the last little bit right next to my beads, I'm going to go in with my thread burner. And I have my wildfire thread cord cutter. I had my threads up earlier, but my battery died. So I'm just going to use this one. I press down on the button and it'll burn the thread ends down. For the thread burner, you can really tell when the battery is dying or when you put in a brand new battery. All of the different brands or styles do use a lot of battery power. I also use it a lot. Once you have that burned down, your bracelet is complete. So you have that fun Castanets bracelet, and you're playing around with the RounDuos, the 2-hole bars. When you use the cup button, it's usually nice and easy to get on your wrist. Like I said, this is about 6 3/4 inches. If you need a bigger one, you're just going to go 1 more complete castanet as well as 1 more of your RounDuo beads. So if you get a chance, you can check out more of Honey Greene's designs in that February 2016 Beadwork magazine, and then she'll reappear again in the June-July issue as well. If you need any of these materials, again, you can go back to the start of the video and click on all the links, or you can go to the drop-down menu right underneath this video in order to print out a list to take to your local Potomac Bead Company store or to shop with us online. If you like this project, others as well, and regular updates, you can subscribe to this YouTube channel and get notified as soon as we post new stuff on there for you. You can also check out our Facebook page and like that, as well as become interactive with us on our Facebook page and join our beading chat group too. Show us what you've done, give designs to other people that are beading, and help out your fellow beaders to give them suggestions and ideas. Thanks a lot for watching, everyone, and have fun making Honey Greene's Castanet bracelet design.